So we're going to go from this to this. Hello, howdy, and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Catherine, and I'm the Aerogarden homesteader. Today I wanted to start up a new series. My journey to sourdough was kind of an interesting one, at least so I think, and I wanted to restart that journey and take you guys along with me. So I do have a nice active sourdough starter, but today I'm going to start a new one with you. I'm also going to show you how to use some of your discard for some quick and easy pancakes, but I wanted to show you techniques that I learned on the way to getting to sourdough. So we're going to start our starter. Haha, that's kind of funny. We're going to start the starter today, and we're going to go through and build it up and hopefully make a nice active starter together. But what I wanted to do was show you some of the recipes that I used that taught me the techniques of sourdough but weren't sourdough. So keep an eye out for those. I'm going to do them on Saturdays, so it's going to be Sourdough Saturday. That'll be part of the title of the video. But we're going to build our sourdough while I show you some of the techniques I learned just using regular yeasted breads. So you're not going to need a sourdough for most of these recipes until right near the end, when hopefully we'll have a nice active sourdough. I have these. You don't have to have them. I did these with just these regular white lids. I would recommend not using the metal flats. You can if you absolutely have to, but sourdough is kind of a little on the acidic side, so it will kind of rust out your flat if you get some sourdough on it. It would be best if you had a scale. It will just make everything more accurate. But I do find that once you get going, it's not required to have a scale. So once you get a feel for what you're looking for, then I feel like it's not as critical. We're home bakers here. We're not a bakery, a professional bakery, trying to maintain a certain standard every time. So if your starter's a little on the thinner side or a little on the thicker side, you know, it's not going to be that bad. So I like wide mouth pints for at least starting in. This one is 1.5 pints, but it's also a wide mouth. But it's just easier to dump things in. If you have or can get a hold of a bit of whole wheat flour, that is the best way to start. So I'm going to probably put in about 10 grams of whole wheat. So you're not going to need a lot. If you can just get a hold of like half a cup of whole wheat flour from the bulk bin or somewhere, or from a friend, just to get started, or rye, then that's going to get you going. I think it gets you going a little faster because it's got more of the natural germ in there and the outer husk that it's going to have those natural yeasts. So in total, you're going to want 25 grams. That was a little too much. It happens fast. Here we go. Let me put that back in there. Okay, well, I got 26 grams. That's fine. And then you're going to want an equal amount of water. So I ended up with 26 grams, which is fine. I'm going to put in 26 grams of water. And I should have reset that. Okay, I need 52 grams. Oops. We're going with 58. Guess I should have left that extra flour in there. Okay. You do want them to be as close to even as possible. It doesn't have to be like totally analytically precise, but we're just going to give this a stir, and we're going to let it go for a couple of days. So you're not going to need to feed it every day just to keep it going. There's nothing going on right now. So this could probably, I'm going to check on it every day and I'll let you know. It might take up to a week before I'm going to feed it, but we'll see. It's probably going to be 3 days. Kind of is going to depend on the warmth of your kitchen. So my kitchen kind of gets a little cold, but I'm going to put this up on top of the fridge, which is the warmest location in my kitchen at least, and we will go from there. So, put that on, and I know it's not going to do anything, but it is handy to have an elastic so you can mark the level just in case anything goes on. So, we're going to go from this to this. Welcome to day 2, and this is what it looks like. We got a little bit of some dark hooch forming on the surface, but that's fine. It has not done anything as expected, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a feed, and it's going to be 25 grams of flour, 25 grams of water. This is actually just filtered water kept at room temperature, in case you were wondering. But I'm going to put in, again, it's going to be about 10 grams or so of the whole wheat flour, and then just another 15 grams of white. Mix it up, put it back on the fridge, and let it go. So we're not discarding anything at this point yet. We're just feeding, we're just inoculating it, we're just getting it going. Because we want to keep all of the good yeasts and things happy right now. But I want as many as I can get in there. So here I'm going to zero it out this time. Okay, 25 grams, and then give it a stir. Oops, just spilled some water everywhere. There we go. It's a little more than needed, but it's fine. So just give that a nice stir, and we'll just move on to day 3. That's how it looks. I will just push everything down, readjust the elastic, and away we go. So I hope you keep up with me. There we are. Alright, there. Okay, today is day 3, and this is how we're looking. As you can see, we actually did get a little bit of activity, but this is like a false positive. Yes, you can get excited, but no, you can't use it. It's probably like an overgrowth, so you're going to have a balance of your bacteria, your lactobacillus bacteria, and your yeast. So right now, one is going to be taking over a little bit faster than the other, and you want to keep going with this and make sure that you eventually come up with a balanced sourdough starter. So we're just going to keep feeding it. Probably going to go until day 5 before we'll start taking stuff out. I want to have as many of the good little, yeasties and bacterias and stuff as possible before taking out anything. So once again, I'm going to put in about 10 grams of the whole wheat. And yes, you can do this with just white flour. It'd be best if you could get unbleached, but you could probably make bleached work as well. Forgot my water. We're going to get this up to 25 with the white. There we go. And 25 grams of water. Give that a nice stir, and we'll let it go for another 24 hours. And again, you want to make sure you get all the way down to the bottom. I want to get that all stirred in really, really well. And then, as best I can, I will try to clean down the sides, which never works very well with a spoon. There we go, so you can see it's a little, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little liquidy, but it's not too bad. Once it starts going, we will decrease the amount of water to, the water to flour ratio, so that we get a thicker starter, and that will help start sweeten it up a little bit. Okay, that is that, and then I will just move the elastic up. Once we start discarding, we probably don't need to do the move the elastic so much. And if it doesn't smell bad, you can certainly start using this for the discard pancakes, which I will show you at the end of this video. I'll try to put in bookmarks, so you can just jump ahead to that if you want. But there we go, day 3. Okay, and we're on day 3, and I don't know if you can tell, but it actually rose to about here before falling back down. So it did double. Now the thing to take into account is that the population of yeast bacteria in here is out of balance. So it doesn't smell quite like a sourdough does, but it does have that smell, the slightly sour smell to it. So it's getting there. We just have to be patient. We got to keep going. So I have a clean jar. I always put a lid on my jars so I can make sure that nothing gets in there. I was going to have this go another day, but because it's starting to actually rise up a little more, I'm going to give it a stir, and then I'm going to start doing a 50-50, well, a 1-to-1-to-1. So I'm going to do 50 grams of each. It's actually starting to get a nice gluten structure forming. Okay, I'm going to weigh out 50. Try to not slime the jar too much on the way down. So this will help start bringing the population into harmony. So we're just going to have to give it time. Okay, there's that. And now this becomes discard, and if it doesn't smell nasty, you can put this in stuff. It's just flour and water, really. But if it smells gross, then, you know, it just means the population is out of balance, and you'll just have to give it a little bit longer. I do find anytime you can add your water first, it prevents your flour from doing weird things. I find I get less dry spots if I put the water in first. Put some on the scale. There you go, 50. Get some flour everywhere. Try not to get it on the spoon. And 250 grams of flour. So the feeding schedule after this is pretty much going to be every morning I'm going to feed it 1-to-1-to-1. And then if it starts rising, like doubling before a full 24 hours has passed, then I'll start feeding twice a day. And at that point I might actually switch over to storing it in the fridge after a 12-hour rise, just so that I don't have to feed it twice a day, because then that starts generating a lot of discard. But I do need to keep going and feeding it so I can get a nice, healthy, balanced population. It's not going to rise properly as sourdough if you don't get your population in balance. Okay. So there's that. Get the flour in. Give this a nice stir. And that is the end of today. So I will revisit this tomorrow. And I want to make sure I get all the way down. Squeegee the sides. And I will transfer over the rubber band. So for your discard, I have a lovely quick pancake recipe, which I will show at the end of this video, showing how to use your discard. And if you think it doesn't, you're not sure it's going to taste good, just use a little bit of it. There we go. Still a little on the liquidy side. So if you remember what my other sourdough looks like, it's a little stiffer. And I will see you tomorrow. Welcome to day 4, where not much has happened. I'll try to keep it somewhat level, although that's kind of hard to do. So it rose just a tiny bit, and some of that could have been when the liquid settled a little. But from here on out, for at least the next week or two, I will be feeding once a day at 1-to-1-to-1. So 50 grams of everything. And I brought a tablespoon over just to see if I could give you guys approximate measurements at least, so that you can, you know, if you don't have a scale, you can at least kind of get a ballpark. So I'm going to take some out. I'm going to try to leave 50 grams, which I have no idea how to measure that for you guys. Just gonna have to go into another bowl. Make another mess. Okay. Yeah, let's get our 50 grams. So it's about 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons. 2 and a bit. Yep, 2 and a bit. Okay, just go in there. And so this will probably be the last one I bring you along for. From here on out, I will just feed, like I said, I'll just feed once a day until it starts doubling more. And then I'll go to twice a day. Same schedule. I'll just keep using the starter for pancakes until it seems like it's stronger. I'll bring you back once it starts getting stronger and show you what's going on. So today's video will just be up to day 4, and I will have the sourdough pancake, a quick sourdough pancake recipe for after this, so you can start using up your starter. So that's 1 tablespoon of whole wheat and 2, 3, 4, 5 tablespoons of flour, or 50 grams. Then zero that out. Two, 3. Oh. 3, almost 4. Almost 4. There we go. So the next video after this will be a grow laps video. I have decided I'm probably going to try to set it up so the first and third video of the month, if I have a grow laps, will be a grow laps video. So next week's video will be all about another plant that I have taken out of the system, the growing system. So you can watch all about that, and then the following week will be another either sourdough or sourdough technique video. So it'll be a Sourdough Saturday video. But there we are. That is that. It goes pretty quick. It's pretty quick and easy. I mean, you already saw that I started getting a little bit of activity, but we just have to wait for all of the cultures to become in balance. So, let me see. It just sort of smells slightly sour still, but nothing really spectacular. So there we go. That is that, and I will roll right into using your discard for making pancakes, so you have something to use it with. Okay, so once you have sourdough, what are you going to do with it? And that is what this next part's going to be. So I'm going to take my starter, and I'm going to take out about half a cup or so. We're going to make pancakes. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this one is a little stiffer than the other one. It's also more dough-like. I don't know if you can really see, like, look at how, I'll try to show you, look how stretchy it is. See? It's like really stretchy. So this is a nice, lots of nice gluten formation. So I'm just going to push all that down. Now that I have removed what I need to discard, and I will use that, we will go through and feed this. So this is at the point where I don't, you know what, I'm going to put it on the scale. And we're going to see approximately how much I have been putting in. Should have zeroed that out before I turned it on, but whatever. Okay, so generally put in about half a cup of flour. If I can get it in there. Spoon was in the way. Okay, so we got about 66 grams. Alright. And then, let me see, zero that out again. And let's see, it's 55 grams of water right now. Sometimes it takes a little extra. Oh no, that might be it. So I want to make sure I get all the way down to the bottom. I don't know if you can see this, okay. And I want to get all the sides a bit, as much as I can, because there's going to be a little bit of dry flour on there. And it's also going to push down some of the, if I pulled out sourdough and I smeared it on the side, that's going to get that worked down as well. And I do eventually change out my jars just so I can wash them, because I have noticed that sometimes around the top, if there's a little bit of, you can see there's a little bit of wet sourdough there, it will start to mold up if I'm not careful. So, I just want to prevent that. So I did about 66 grams. Well, I actually did 66 grams of flour, but that was about my half cup, because I tend to pack my cups a little bit. And I put in 55 grams of water. And that's what we got. So, let me see if I can find the camera. And that's what we got. So, it's a little runny. You can see it actually moves a bit when I'm holding it sideways like this. Oh my gosh, this is really hard to work. So it does move a little when I hold it sideways, but it's pretty thick still. And I have found, so if you don't like sourdough and you're like, oh, I'm not going to follow along with this, why are you doing this? Yes, not everyone likes sourdough. I didn't like sourdough. I didn't like it until I actually tried it, because the stiffer the sourdough, the less sour it is. And the sooner you catch it, the less sour it is. So the longer you let it ferment for, it can get pretty sour. So doing it myself, I found I had more control over it. So, if you don't like sourdough, I do suggest you give it a try. If you've tried it before and you're like, oh yeah, I really don't like it, I'm not going to force you to do it again. Obviously you've tried it and you don't like it. So don't worry about that. But if you've never tried it and you're like, oh, I don't like sourdough, this isn't that sour. So I made mine a stiffer. You saw I had less water in it. So even though we're starting at a 1-to-1, we will eventually, once it gets going, we will drop that down. Okay, to my starter. Now that I've run off on a tangent, but to my starter, I'm adding about a teaspoon, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. I added almost the same amount of vanilla. I'm going to add some oil, probably a teaspoon and a half. And, ooh, my pan is hot. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Sugar is to your liking. So, I think that's actually a little more sourdough than I normally do. This is probably going to be one really massive pancake. But this is a quick pancake. It doesn't require any overnight fermentation, doesn't require sitting in the fridge, doesn't even require an egg. You can put an egg in if you want, if you're making a big batch, and you're using like 3 cups of starter, then yeah, sure, it can benefit from an egg, but sorry you can't see this, but I'm going to stir this up. Now this is really, really thick. So I'm going to put in a small splash of water. We're probably talking maybe a tablespoon or 2, depending. Because my starter is a little thicker than, the 1-to-1, it's going to need just a little extra water to help loosen it up. Oh, and I forgot my salt. Always forgetting the salt. It's best to put in a little bit of salt. You should try to do this at the beginning so it gets stirred in. You don't hit a salty spot, but oh well. And you want to start really well because the starter is a little on the tart side. And if you hit a spot that has not been stirred in very well, you will know it. But once everything's mixed together properly, it's not sour, it's not tart. So, okay. So I'm going to take you over to the frying pan. My ridiculously large pan on my medium-sized burner. I'm just going to put this on and make a pancake. At this point, it's just a standard pancake. Some oil going around. I guess it wasn't as big a pancake as I thought it was going to be. I do, because it is a bit on the thick side, I do try to help move it out a little bit so that it's not... I don't want it really, really thick because then it doesn't... It takes a while to cook, if you know what I mean. I don't want it burning. I do find that, for some strange reason, sourdough tends to burn a little bit faster. So I want to make sure I got my heat down and I keep an eye on it. I just put some oil in the pan. I'll just speed through this. You don't need to sit here and watch. I'm sure everyone knows how to make a pancake at this point. But yeah, low heat and just keep an eye on it. So I like to give my pancake a little... If you press on the top gently and then you try to move it around, if you see the whole top layer move independently from the bottom layer, sometimes that means there's a layer in between that's not cooked all the way through. I also find I have a hot spot on my burner, so I gotta turn... Yeah, so see, I can see right here there's a little bit of uncooked batter oozing out. I believe it is cooked. And there we go. A sourdough pancake. I didn't have to throw anything out. Now for your first few discards you may actually need to throw some of it out because it will smell a little funky and it probably hasn't done very much, but I kind of compressed the sides, but there we go. Well, I hope you found this video useful. I hope you join me in this sourdough journey. Even if you don't actually make sourdough, some of these recipes are really fun to make and will teach you techniques that are just good in general for bread making. So please join me, and if you found this useful, please like and share so other people can also join along in this journey. And I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.